I decided to dedicate an entire video to the micro series of games. I was going to say micro series, a series of games, but that'd be redundant. I thought I'd point this out real quick and not nitpicking, complaining, whatever, but I'm actually really more or less surprised that Hasbro didn't, do a micro series version of Operation or the Game of Life, or sorry. Just more or less surprised, that's all. Because usually a series is more than two things. That's all I'm gonna say. But I'm going to start with the Bop-It micro series, and then we'll do Simon micro series after this. In case you're wondering, I actually had to take out I'm going to put some new batteries in it, because in order to put this into context, the older version of the Bop-It micro series has an older revision number, which was Score 23. And I bring that up because this is the later model, and if you listen carefully, hold on, I have to put the batteries in, and I believe I have to press and hold the Bop-It button at the exact same time I put the second battery in.
Micro US 6.
That is the later version of the game, for those who are curious. And in case you're wondering what changes, from what I can tell, because I do a lot of research on this stuff, not a lot actually changes. It's just the revision number itself that has changed. I'm not entirely sure, because Score 23, that's a higher revision number, so once again, not really complaining, that wouldn't make sense. I'm just really surprised that, from what I can tell, the Micro US 6 version performs a little bit better. If you're not hardcore into Bop-It like I am or my friends are, you won't even notice it. But it's actually kind of interesting, again, that the older model has the higher revision number. Where was I going with this? I don't know if I pointed this out before, but I absolutely love the sound design, the sound font, sound design, whatever, for the more modern Bop-It games, if you exclude the character ones, which I do. And speaking of that, I forgot to do the test mode where I can showcase all the action sounds. Hold on.
Solo.
That is done by twisting 3 times.
Micro US 6.
I always love how, especially with the Twist It, just the Twist It, in my opinion at least, how crunchy it is. I don't know why. I don't know, it's just something about that really, it's not nostalgic, but just really cathartic. And I also feel a little bit the same way about Pull It. Although with the micro series, it kind of hurts the speaker just a little bit. And fun fact about the Bop-It sound, I believe that's, I think that's a bass drum? Someone correct me in the comments, because I may be a hardcore fan of music, but I'm not entirely sure what kind of drum this is supposed to be. I know it's an actual drum. Someone please correct me in the comments, but again, my favorite sound will always be, in the modern Bop-It especially, Twist It. Just when it says, twist it, and you do this, oh, it's just so satisfying, dude. It's really awesome. Every Bop-It game since 2008, that'd be the Bop-It Shout, in case you're wondering which one came out in 2008, with the exception of the character Bop-Its, they all have that really, really satisfying noise whenever you twist it. It is really satisfying. The only other exception off the top of my head is the Bop-It Maker, which does not have a twist it at all. I might get to that at some point, I'm not entirely sure. Let me screw the battery compartment, the battery cover back on, pardon me. The game is going to turn off automatically by itself. So, and when I say that, it's not going to go, oh, I'm going to sleep. It doesn't actually let you know when it exits the test mode. It does it prematurely, if I'm not mistaken. But, yeah. Next, we have Simon Micro Series. I always see Simon Micro Series as kind of the more modern equivalent of Pocket Simon, which, for those who saw my update video, I have to replace my Pocket Simon, the 1980s version. I do still have the 90s version, but I have to replace my original 80s first edition printing version of the game. This is probably my favorite, one of my favorite versions of Simon in general. It is, I'm not even gonna be around the bush, it's freaking adorable, dude, I love it. I love the stylization of the buttons. They have unique shapes to them. As I've mentioned before, Buddy's voice was unintentionally added to this game during its development, despite the fact that, for those who are curious, yes, it is a Klitzner invention. The Klitzner era of Simon started with 2014 with Simon Swipe. This came out the exact same year as Swipe. he actually never even knew that Buddy's voice was incorporated. Like, we told him recently it was either me or Kane, but he actually never knew that for the longest time. Like, as soon as, I think again, it was either me or Kane told him, he was really surprised. I would actually do some gameplay of Bop-It Micro Series, but I kind of can't because, you know, Bop-It requires more than one hand. I can do Simon Micro Series, though. That makes sense. Gonna mess up on purpose. Oh yeah, that's another thing about it too, how it calculates your high score. In case people are curious, this is my high score. High score. But I guess I could try and play Bop-It Micro Series a little bit.
Solo, pass it.
That's another thing too.
Solo, pass it.
It only has 2 modes, which is, again, it's fine.
Solo. Bop it. Twist it. Pull it. Bop it. Yow! Too fast for you. Score 3.
Wait for it to turn off. Hold on.
Bop it to start.
Waiting, 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 waiting.
I'm going to
There
sleep.
we go. But yeah, I'd recommend these as, you know, your entry points, or maybe if, you know, you're one of those few people who remember Bop It or Simon but haven't played them in a long time, you know, the modern versions of the game. Like, especially considering that this is a button presser as opposed to swipe, which is, you know, well, you swipe, you go like this, there's U-turns, swipes, swoops, and all that stuff. That'll be really complicated for newcomers. Well, you know, newcomers, people who haven't played Simon in a long time, so go with this. And then again, there's the classic 2016 and or 2020 version of Simon and the Vader Simon, so there's those as well. The same can actually be said about Bop It. There's the world's smallest, there's this, there are the character ones, there's the classic, which that had 3 versions, there's the 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. It's entirely up to you. But again, I should probably talk about the game's overall aesthetics, which is one of the things I'm known for. I really love how adorable these things are, especially the size of the Bopjects on the Bop Micro series. Like, they're a lot more bulbous, I guess, especially the top of Twist It. It's not a complaint, again, that would make sense. I want to, like, you know, rant and rave about this because whatever. But actually, I always notice how, you know, the top of Twist It is a lot more bulbous. Like, it's not as flat as it was in the Shout, or even the XT for that matter. I also always noticed how they actually didn't stick with the, what would you even call it, like that silicone rubber texture? You can definitely tell because it's more shiny. It's actually a hard plastic now. Simon Micro Series is pretty much the exact same thing in how small it is, but not the exact same thing, like, you know, how bulbous the Bopjects are. 1, this is Simon after all. And 2, like, it's a different game. I always love the small detail, like how there's little circles on the edges of each button. And if you look closer, hold on, camera shake. That right there is for pass it. That right there is for solo. That's a really nice touch that I really do appreciate. So, yeah. In conclusion, great entry points. Again, if you are interested in experiencing Bop It or Simon for the very first time. And these are still available. On Amazon, at least. Again, they aren't available in actual retail stores, which I don't understand why, because they're still, you know, actually in print, from what I remember, from my understanding at least. And I thought I'd wrap this up by responding to some potential comments that I might get. This isn't actually a rant, it's more or less me being civilized, so pardon me. I actually sometimes get these comments, like, you know, people saying that I'm overreacting about toys and being like a 5-year-old. No, that couldn't be far from the truth, actually. Well, I may be a man-child, and before people assume that, you know, oh, man-child, he wears diapers, he acts like a baby. No, I literally mean that I'm a man-child in the way that, I can be very childish, not like a baby, like we're not talking 5-year-old stuff here, but, childish, very, very silly and goofy like a cartoon character, but also at the same time not arrogant or ignorant enough to, be naive or blind to the world around me and know when to be serious. That's the very definition of a man-child that people need to acknowledge, as opposed to, oh, a man-child, that person wears diapers and pees their pants, whatever. Like, everyone who says that is completely missing the point. And number two, I don't know why people always assume this, but these are not toys. You can't judge something, just by its aesthetic design alone. Like, these are electronic games. And that leads me to the next point. Like, there's an entire community dedicated to Bop It, Simon, Flip Slide, Heads Up, Tickle Toes, all of these great games. Yeah, it might seem small to you at first, but then you gotta realize how much passion goes into all this stuff. Like, there is a lot of hard work and passion that goes into any of these electronic games. Like, as much as people, even I used to, crap on the, metaphorically, crap on the character Bop Its, they do look pretty cool. Like, I can actually fool someone into thinking that, I'm a Star Wars fan, or whatever, with the character Bop Its. A Star Wars fan, a Frozen fan, a Minions fan. I actually am a Marvel fan, which is why I actually have the Groot and Spidey Bop Its. But, people often assume that, those are just like, figures or toys, if you will. But no, it's far from the truth. Those are electronic games that had a lot of passion put into them, as far as, the sculpting, design, the molding, and all that crap. Like, people have to acknowledge that there was, despite, how much of a blatant cash grab the character ones are, like, there was a lot of passion in, the sculpting and the molding and the painting of the plastic and stuff like that. Like, even with these, like, I love the overall aesthetic designs of, like, the Bopjacks, for instance, and the design of the design of the buttons on Simon Micro Series. Again, design is really, really cool. Very, very dynamic, if I must add. So, yeah. Like I said, coming full circle, I do recommend these in the modern day and age. And with that, this is Sir Bop-A-Lot, signing out.